Welcome and thank you for joining. My name is Jane. I'm the new product manager with EXO Malaysia. Today's webinar is all about going local in Malaysia. Again, thank you for joining. I know some of you it's morning, evening, or afternoon, and so we'll get started. First, I want to briefly explain why Malaysia is what we call a kaleidoscopic nation, or a kaleidoscope of culture. In contrast to other Southeast Asian destinations, Malaysia has a history of foreign rulers, including the Dutch, the Portuguese, and the British, presiding over these lands before Malaysia gained independence in 1957. As you walk down the streets of Kuala Lumpur, whether it's brick fields, a little piece of India that reminds me a lot of the streets of Mumbai, or you walk down Jalan Melanu, which is covered in bazaar shops selling traditional Malaysian clothes, or you taste the Chinese Hokkien mee noodles on Petaling Street on our foodie tours. Or if you travel to Borneo, that has over 70 ethnic groups, each with their own language and culture. Malaysia is a melting pot of cultures, and they're geographically spread over two parts. So Peninsula Malaysia is divided into 13 states and measures about 740 kilometers from north to south, bordering Thailand to the north and Singapore to the south. The entire west coast faces the beautiful Andaman Sea, while the other side on the east is the South China Sea. In addition to the peninsula, we can't forget the other two provinces of Malaysia, Sarawak and Saba, on the island of Borneo. Borneo is the third largest island in the world, and it shares common borders with Brunei and Indonesia. And it's also home to Malaysia's highest point, Mount Kinabalu, which rises over to 4,995 meters. And it's situated not far from Kota Kinabalu. We at EXO Malaysia have been developing and are continuing to develop creative experiences and tours that focus on gaining an insider perspective into the cultures and people of Malaysia. Whether it's staying in a local homestay, such as an Iban longhouse, or visiting secret food hotspots and trying your hand at making bao, which is much harder than making a prawn fritter, or tailoring experiences for custom vowel renewals. The aim of these experiences is to enrich our client experience in Malaysia. We place a lot of emphasis on an authentic experience and respecting exchanges and cultural knowledge through direct interaction with local people, experts, and families, who in turn benefit from our visits as well. On the next slides, I'm going to talk about and highlight a few of our insider experiences that we have and how we've developed and how we're developing them into multi-day tours that have lots of wow moments for your clients that they'll be talking about long after their visit. We'll start off in Kuala Lumpur with a little trip into the Hindu culture. Then we'll go north up to Ipoh and Chinese lanterns. Then off to Penang, where we have two experiences, the joss stick making and art and culture. And then we'll hop over to Batang Ai in Sarawak and a longhouse stay. And we'll finish in Saba with a conservation insider access, which is also a luxe experience. So off to Kuala Lumpur. Vanakkam. So the captivating Hindu culture in Kuala Lumpur is a full day tour. It gains a better insight into the Hindu culture. But the Hindu culture is the smallest of three main ethnic groups in Malaysia. The Malay Indians form about 10% of the population, and most are descendants from the Tamil-speaking South Indian immigrants. Our first stop is to a local Indian shop where your clients get to try on some local Indian clothing. So the women get to try on a sari and the men a vesti. The sari is a great souvenir for all our female guests, and it's included in the tour cost. But I always recommend that they learn how to put it on at least twice or three times because they are quite difficult if you've never done one before. After this interactive shop experience, we visit a local Hindu temple and receive a blessing from a local priest. Don't miss out the opportunity to break a coconut for the deity, and this symbolizes the breaking of ego. So the coconut in Hindu mythology represents the human body, and if you shatter it before the Lord, it means that you're breaking the ama, or ego. So it symbolizes a surrender and merging of the Supreme Soul. So after this visit at the temple, we continue our tour and head off to Little India, where it's a profusion of smells, sights, and colors, from the aromatic spices, exotic fragrances, and adornments of bright colored garlands that are easily seen throughout the streets. So we stop at a local florist to learn more about them and how you can make one yourself. So we get hands-on in this part of the experience. Hopefully you can create a masterpiece. So lunch on this tour is at a traditional Indian restaurant in Little India, where we enjoy some wonderful Indian cuisine that's served on a banana leaf and with a cool, refreshing lassi. The time of the tour starts at 9 a.m. and we finish approximately 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So now from Kuala Lumpur, we head north to Ipoh. So we can either go overland by rail or by road. Getting to Ipoh from Kuala Lumpur is relatively easy due to the well-paved roads and highways, and also the number of public transports, including rail. The drive will take approximately 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on the time of year. On weekends around big festivals like Hari Raya, or even some of the harvest festivals, it might take quite a bit longer. Trains depart from KL Central at 8:30 and arrive approximately 8:15. So Ipoh was famous for its tin-bearing valley, known as the City of Millionaires during the tin rush in the 1800s. Some of the famous culinary dishes in Ipoh include bean sprout chicken, curry mee noodles, and pork satay. But on this experience, you get an insider's access to an age-old handicraft where guests get to join a lantern master in a 3-hour family-friendly hands-on workshop learning about this Malaysian vanishing tradition. So the lanterns are a beacon of cultural heritage, and they're called Surname Lanterns, which also go by a different name of umbrella lanterns, and they illuminate Ipoh in the evening, symbolizing brightness, reunion, and goodwill. So according to Mr. Chu, our master, the lanterns are inherited from generation to generation as a symbol of the connection between heaven and earth, and they carry many blessings. The workshop takes place in his workshop, shown in the picture, where he makes simple to extravagant surname lantern. Don't worry, we don't have to make an extravagant one. So under his guidance and sitting on the floor in his workshop, you'll learn how to make a traditional style lantern, bending the bamboo stick frames, draping the cloth, putting your name in it in Chinese characters, and finishing your lantern. With only a handful of lantern makers left in Malaysia, this experience will provide you and your family a better glimpse into Malaysian culture. As well, the souvenir will tell stories of your time in Ipoh. The, right-hand side, or where the 2 lanterns are, that's the type of lantern that you make in the workshop. It's quite simple and you can get it done within the time frame. So we now head from Ipoh to Penang. So we'll head overland by road and it'll take approximately 2.5 hours. Nicknamed the Pearl of the Orient, Penang is famous for its soft beaches and quaint nooks and crannies of Georgetown, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So if you look at the picture that has the pool, so this is China House. It's quite an amazing TARDIS of a shop. So the beginning starts with a shop, then it goes into a bar, then it goes into a craft area, then it goes to the pool, and then there's more behind it. So it's a great place to look out and discover. But like Kuala Lumpur, Penang is a kaleidoscope of cultures. Within a 15 to 20-minute walk around Georgetown, you can taste Indian, Chinese, Malay, and Penangkan delicacies. So here we have two insider access experience that I'd like to highlight. The first is the traditional joss-stick making with Mr. Lee. On this half-day hands-on culture experience, you'll meet Mr. Lee, who's in his now 90s. And he's one of the last joss stick makers in Malaysia who's been crafting joss sticks since he was about 20 years old. Now, he told me he learned from not from masters, but by buying other people's dragon joss sticks and disassembling them, learning how to make them part by part. His handmade joss sticks are often used for special occasions at temples, and his last a lot longer than the machine-made ones, so he's quite popular. This workshop is 2.5 to 3 hours, and even though he's training his sons and daughters, this is a dying art. So during this workshop, you'll learn all about the traditional technique, including rolling your own 100% natural material sandalwood joss stick to take home. As well as learning about the traditional techniques, Mr. Lee will share stories of his post-war Penang. One of the great ones was how during the British administration, they were not allowed to set up stalls to sell joss sticks. And if they were caught, they would be fined about $10. And at this time, the amount was a lot and could sustain a family for many months. So the workshop, this tour departs or experience departs at 8:30 from the hotel. You reach Mr. Lee's house by 9. It's a maximum of 6 people just due to the size of the workshop. And it does include a certificate at the end, as well as you get to take away your joss. You finish the tour with a short walk to the Goddess of Mercy Temple, Penang's oldest Taoist temple, where you'll see joss sticks in action. So it's great to continue after the workshop on a walking tour of Penang, as its location is so close to Little India, as well as other attractions such as the Clan Jetties. So the workshop is not that far from Seven Terraces, very close by to everything. So the second attraction or insider experience in Penang is Art and Garden by Mr. Wang. So this hidden gem in Penang is just a wow experience, a must when you visit. So if you visited Penang and you haven't been here, put it on your list. Artists and gardeners took 3 years to create this amazing 1.5-acre garden that beautifully blends glass sculptures, artworks, and tropical plants together. And it's an amazing play on colors and textures. Tucked away deep in the hills off a winding road heading towards Blissful is Art and Garden. And you'll see lots of plants such as air plants, aloes, gingers, pitcher plants. And they're in the gardens with clay, metal sculptures, as well as paintings and colorful mosaics. Wang doesn't use chemicals or pesticides in the garden, so it's a hotbed of activity as well for insects, birds, and butterflies. So make sure you tell your clients to bring insect repellent in a hat. So this insider experience with Mr. Wang is a guided tour where you'll be immersed into a sanctuary of the art and nature. He'll tell you stories about the different sculptures, their meaning, as well as the mosaics, and go into some detail about the plant species as well. After which you can enjoy a homemade local crab laksa in the setting of these magnificent gardens. For those individuals who just want to experience the gardens, we've developed Where Nature Meets Art, a full day tour, because art and garden is quite difficult to find. We've decided to also add it into a tour and build it up around this cultural heritage. So the first stop is Art and Garden, where you get to explore the garden at your own pace. After which we leave Art and Garden for Palau, where we explore several street art pieces, and we have a photo shop. So you'll see 4 distinctive murals on the outside of a pre-war shop that represent the community. So we have a silversmith, a traditional Malay martial artist, a fisherman, and a dancing Hakka girl. That smile obviously caught the attention of the artist. So we learn more about each individual portrait. We have time to take photos, and then we continue on to our third stop, the Hin Bus Depot. This is a community art space that supports and nurtures emerging artists in Penang. Once an old bus stop, the area has now been reformed and revitalized into a unique space with a mural garden and cafes. So we enjoy a delicious lunch here at one of the restaurants. And on Sundays, there's a pop-up craft market from 11 to 5. So after we have lunch at Hin Bus Stop, we continue on to our fourth stop, which is Georgetown. So this is the final destination where we continue to discover the art of Penang with a walking tour, passing the famous street art, whimsical paintings, and interactive murals. So the 2 mural pictures, if you'd like, you can replace the kids and have your picture taken because the bikes are actually quite interactive. And also while we're walking along Armenian Street, we stop off at the Mr. Wang's Glassworks to look at his gallery. So if anyone wants to buy a souvenir, there's options to do that. And sometimes Mr. Wang is also there to tell you the stories of his art. So after this, we continue with a short trishaw ride through the streets of this UNESCO protected area before returning to our hotel. So like we've combined art and garden into a full day tour, we've combined these experiences into a multi-day, 10-day, 9-night living heritage of West Malaysia highlights tour. So it combines the captivating Hindu culture in Kuala Lumpur that I discussed. It also has the lantern making in Ipoh, the jaw stick making in Penang and art and garden, as well as Suka Suka Lake Retreat. So Suka Suka is located 1 hour outside of Ipoh in the state of Perak. It's a traditional Malaysian homestay where you'll be welcomed on the edge of Lake Cederong by Mr. Aziz, his wife, and his young son. So each of the houses is a traditional Malay house from different regions of Malaysia that Mr. Aziz has bought, dismantled, brought to Suka Suka, and rebuilt them as they would have been built. So it is basic accommodation, but the experience is absolutely amazing. They have a great spot on the lake, so there's a range of activities from boat trips, fishing, cooking demonstrations. So you'll also get to eat with the family, local style. So everybody with their right hand, and Mr. Aziz will explain how to do it if you're not sure. After dinner, you can relax and play local traditional games. So we've combined these half-day and full-day tours into an unforgettable itinerary in the peninsula for you and your clients. And you can do the same thing. So if you have a tour that you're looking at sprucing up, or that your clients want to add that extra touch that's more local, we can add these into existing itineraries or add on as optional. So not forgetting Borneo, of course. We're going to head east. And because Borneo is divided up into 2 states, Sarawak and Saba, I'll be highlighting one insider experience in both states, beginning first with Sarawak and our mystical Sarawak Batangai 4-day, 3-night tour. So we begin by discovering Kuching's main landmarks, from its charming colonial city centers to its old Chinese temples, after which we'll journey 4 hours in total to Batangai. Stopping first after 40 minutes is the Semengo Orangutan Wildlife Center. If you're lucky, some of the rehabilitated orangutans will come and visit the platform for a snack. Viewing is only available from 9 to 10 a.m. and sightings aren't guaranteed. And the reasons why that is it's a supplement. So it is a research center, And for instance, when I was there recently, one female who was pregnant came in. She was the only one to get supplements as well as medicine that they put in to make sure that she can deliver her baby okay. So if it's full of fruit season, sometimes there's no orangutans just because they've already foraged enough. So sightings aren't guaranteed, but if you're lucky enough, you'll see some. So then we continue on to Batanai, stopping at a traditional craft village in Luchao, as well as an open air market in Suriname City. So once we get to Batanai, we learn more about the Iban people. So the Iban are known traditionally, so they're very friendly people, but they're traditionally known as fierce headhunting practices. But don't worry, this tradition is no longer practiced. So guests have two type of accommodation options on this tour. There's one, the Mengaling Longhouse, which is in the photos. So it is basic facilities, but they do have beds with mosquito nets, two basic toilet and shower facilities, and a common room that everybody sleeps in the longhouse. So if you see the longhouse in the other picture, it's probably about the 6th or 7th tier up. And you also have a natural alarm clock. About 5 a.m. the chickens will start singing. The other option is the Aman Batanai Resort for those that don't want basic accommodation. So if you're overnighting at the longhouse, you will have more time to interact with the local Iban people, and you'll be met with smiles, a feast of food, and quite a bit of rice wine. You will learn about how these local people live in and with nature, witness and participate in local traditional dances, and you also get to try your breath at a blowpipe. Now, it's not too hard until you have to load the blowpipe with 2 darts. Then accuracy is much more difficult. If you stay at the resort both nights, you will have the day trip to the longhouses by dugout canoe. So the Batanai jetty to Mengaling Longhouse is approximately 40 minutes, and the jetty to the resort is approximately 15 to 20 minutes. So if you have, if you're staying at the resort, the second day the boat transfer just might be a little longer to one of the 2 longhouses that we do visit. So now we'll move on to Saba. So although Saba is famous for Mount Kinabalu and the Sepalak Orangutan Center, we've developed an insider access experience to assist with local conservation and increase the awareness of the plight of the sun bear or the honey bear. So our insider experience with Dr. Wang at the Borneo Sun Bear Conservation Center is considered a luxe product. So it gives you an insider access. You'll take a private tour with the founder of Borneo Conservation Center and learn about the rescued sun bears that reside at the facility. There's 42 in total, and they're rescue or ex-captive sun bears, and Dr. Wang knows them all from quite a distance. His passion for these animals is highly contagious. He began studying the effects of logging on sun bears in 2002 for his master's, and it's grown to the conservation achievement that it is today, but as he says, it still needs a lot more awareness. The Sun Bear Conservation Center is located about 2 minutes away from Sepalak orangutans, and a lot more people go to the orangutans than they do the sun bears, although it's so close together. So it's a great option even if you didn't want to do the luxe private insider tour to send your clients over, because all the staff are very knowledgeable about all the bears. So this tour and experience does support the conservation efforts. So along with the exclusive private meeting with the founder, you learn more about the work and the rehabilitation. Some of the proceeds from the tour go directly to the sun bear conservation, And then we have lunch at the nesting dining among the backdrops of the rainforest. So those are some of the experiences, the insider experiences that we have here in Malaysia, and we're continuing to develop more. Thank you for listening. Come and join us in Malaysia. Again, my name is Jane Rowan. I'm the EXO Product Manager in Malaysia. My email. Just before I open up the floor for questions, I would like to remind people in June 11th, there's EXO webinar. So on the 11th, there's Cambodia for families. And on the 20th, in Laos, there's Laos unique experiences. So if you haven't already, I know there'll be sending signups for those as well. Thank you for listening.